as you continue to rest, drifting in that quiet space where thoughts no longer demand attention. Your subconscious mind becomes gently receptive. There is no effort required now. Nothing to fix, nothing to chase, just listening, the way the earth listens to rain. Tonight, your subconscious begins to softly adjust what it expects from life, not through force, not through sudden change, but through calm recognition. Expectations are powerful, and yet they often form quietly, without words. They shape how reality responds to you, and right now, as you sleep, those expectations are becoming lighter, kinder, more aligned with ease. You no longer expect struggle as the default. You no longer assume that things must be difficult to be meaningful. Your subconscious is learning a new pattern, that good outcomes are allowed, that support can appear naturally, that life does not need to push against you for you to move forward. There is a gentle shift happening beneath awareness. The way you expect conversations to go, the way you expect opportunities to arrive, the way you expect people to treat you. These expectations are loosening from old disappointments and quietly realigning with neutrality. Then calm, then subtle positivity. You are not forcing optimism. You are simply releasing the habit of bracing for the worst. Your subconscious understands now that constant vigilance is no longer necessary. You are safe enough to expect better. As you sleep, your mind begins to update old assumptions. Assumptions about relationships soften. You no longer anticipate rejection before connection. You no longer expect misunderstanding before being heard. Instead, your subconscious allows the possibility of harmony to feel normal, familiar, unthreatening. Assumptions about money, work, or stability also begin to shift. You no longer expect delay as the rule. You no longer assume effort must always feel heavy. Your subconscious opens to the idea that progress can occur quietly, steadily, without stress, that resources can flow in ways you don't need to predict. Even expectations about your own body and well-being gently recalibrate. Your subconscious remembers how to trust balance, how to move toward health without pressure, how to allow recovery, energy, and clarity to return in their own rhythm. Nothing here is specific because your subconscious knows exactly where to apply these changes. It customizes them perfectly for you. It adjusts only what is ready. It leaves the rest untouched for now. There is no overwhelm. You may notice over time that situations respond differently to you, that people seem more open, that timing feels smoother, that things resolve with less friction. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. Your subconscious is learning a new baseline. Life does not need to fight you. You can move with it. You can expect cooperation instead of resistance, and this expectation becomes quiet confidence, not something you announce, but something you carry. As you rest deeper, your nervous system relaxes into this new assumption. The body releases tension it no longer needs. The mind releases stories it no longer has to repeat. are simply allowing a new internal setting to take hold. And because expectations shape perception, perception shapes choice, and choice shapes outcome. This gentle internal shift begins to echo outward naturally. You do not need to remember any of this. Your conscious mind can sleep. Your subconscious is already doing the work, calmly, precisely, in its own language. Everything is allowed to unfold from here. You are resting, you are safe, and your expectations are quietly changing in your favor. As your body rests more deeply now, and your breathing settles into a slow, natural rhythm, your subconscious begins to receive something gentle and stabilizing. There is no urgency here, no countdown, no pressure to arrive anywhere, just a quiet understanding forming beneath the surface that timing itself is not against you. Your subconscious has carried impatience before. It has learned over time to brace, to rush, to worry that if things do not happen soon enough, they may never happen at all. But tonight, that old tension begins to soften, not by convincing, not by logic, simply by rest. As you sleep, your subconscious remembers something ancient and true, that life unfolds in sequences, not deadlines, that growth happens in layers, not leaps, that what is meant for you does not miss you because you relaxed. There is a deep release happening now, a letting go of the need to monitor progress. You no longer need to constantly check, measure, or mentally revisit what has not yet appeared. Your subconscious learns that watching the clock does not speed the sunrise. Trust to something far more powerful. Trust allows alignment. As this settles in, your inner world begins to recalibrate. The nervous system loosens its grip. Muscles release microtensions you didn't realize you were holding. The mind stops leaning forward into the future and gently reclines into the present moment. You are not falling behind. Your subconscious hears this clearly now. You are not late. You are not missing anything. You are not being tested by time. Timing is responding to you, adjusting itself around your readiness, your growth, your unfolding clarity. And because you are resting, because you are no longer pushing, things are free to organize themselves naturally. There is a subtle wisdom your subconscious understands, that forcing outcomes often delays them, while allowing space often accelerates them. Tonight, this wisdom becomes embodied, felt, integrated. You no longer need to ask, when, with anxiety. The question itself softens. It becomes quiet curiosity instead of fear. And curiosity does not block. It invites. As you sleep, your subconscious practices patience without effort. It learns how to trust without going numb. It learns that surrender is not giving up. It is opening up. Opening up to better timing than the mind could calculate. Opening up to coordination beyond conscious planning. Opening up to moments arriving when they can actually be received. There is relief in this realization, a deep exhale, a sense of being carried rather than dragged forward. You are allowed to rest while life arranges itself. Nothing is stalled. Nothing is broken. Nothing is overdue. Your subconscious releases the habit of rushing reality. It stops signaling urgency where none is required. This alone frees enormous energy that can now flow into clarity, creativity, healing, and quiet confidence. You may notice in the days ahead that waiting feels different, less sharp, less heavy. You may find yourself less reactive, less impatient, less compelled to push or prove. This is not because you stopped caring. It is because you started trusting. And trust is not passive. Trust is alignment without tension. As this section settles into you, your subconscious gently locks in a new understanding that what is meant to move will move, and what needs time will take time without harming you. You do not need to manage this. You do not need to remember it. Your subconscious already knows. Sleep continues to deepen. The body remains safe, and timing begins to work with you, quietly, steadily, in your favor. As you remain in this soft, drifting state, where the mind no longer tries to define itself, something subtle begins to happen. Your subconscious starts to sense a version of you that already exists ahead in time, not as a distant fantasy, not as a goal to chase, but as a familiar presence, calm, grounded, quietly real. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about remembering who you are when you are no longer weighed down by doubt, fear, or old expectations. Your subconscious recognizes this future version of you not as new, but as home. There is no pressure in this recognition, no comparison, no judgment, just a gentle familiarity spreading through your inner world, the feeling of I know this place, the sense of I've been here before, because at a deeper level, you have. As you sleep, your subconscious mind begins to blur the line between now and then. The distance between who you are and who you are becoming grows smaller, not through effort, but through acceptance. The future self does not feel intimidating. It feels safe. It feels natural. It feels like a continuation, not a transformation. This future self carries ease in their posture, calm in their reactions, quiet certainty in their decisions, and your subconscious begins to adopt these qualities gently, without instruction. It absorbs them the way warmth spreads through a room. You are not rehearsing success. You are familiarizing yourself with it. There is an important difference. When success feels unfamiliar, the subconscious resists it. When peace feels unfamiliar, it feels wrong. But tonight, that unfamiliarity dissolves. Your subconscious spends time with the version of you who navigates life with steadiness, who trusts themselves, who expects alignment without needing reassurance. This future self does not rush. They do not overthink. They do not scan constantly for danger or validation. And because your subconscious is spending time in this emotional atmosphere, it begins to normalize it. This becomes the new reference point, the new emotional baseline. You may notice this later as a subtle shift, reacting less intensely, choosing more calmly, feeling more grounded without knowing why. This is integration. This is familiarity taking root. Your subconscious is learning that this future version of you is not fragile, that becoming more confident does not make you unsafe, that becoming more peaceful does not make you vulnerable, that becoming more fulfilled does not isolate you. This version of you belongs. As you rest, your subconscious allows you to practice being comfortable with clarity, comfortable with stability, comfortable with having space in your mind and ease in your body. There is no excitement spike here, just quiet belonging. And because your subconscious now recognizes this future state as familiar, it will naturally guide you toward it without force, without struggle, without conscious planning. You do not need to visualize. You do not need to imagine scenes. You do not need to decide anything. Familiarity does the work. Just as the body returns to familiar posture, the mind returns to familiar states. And now, this future version of you feels recognizable, safe, expected. You are not stepping into the unknown. You are returning to yourself. As sleep deepens, this recognition settles gently into place. The subconscious locks in the feeling of this is normal for me. And from this point forward, choices, reactions, and perceptions begin to align around that truth. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to remember, nothing to repeat. Your subconscious has already learned what it needs. You rest, you drift, and your future self feels closer, not ahead of you, but within you, quietly guiding the way forward. As your sleep continues, deep and unbroken, your subconscious begins another quiet adjustment, one that happens so subtly it feels like nothing at all, yet changes how reality meets you. This is the calibration phase, the gentle tuning of perception, the part where your inner world and the outer world begin to recognize each other more easily. Your subconscious is learning how to notice differently. Until now, it has often been trained to scan for problems, for threats, for what might go wrong. This was never your fault. It was protection. It was survival. But tonight, that setting is being updated. Your subconscious no longer needs to search for danger to keep you safe. Instead, it begins to recognize opportunity. Not dramatic opportunity, not obvious signs, but small openings, neutral moments, subtle shifts that were always present, yet previously invisible. The kind of moments that quietly change direction without announcing themselves. As you sleep, your subconscious practices this new orientation. It learns how to detect ease, how to register support, how to notice when things line up without resistance. This is not forced awareness. It is relaxed attention. You are not becoming hyper-alert. You are becoming gently receptive. This matters because what the subconscious notices, it amplifies, and what it amplifies becomes choice, and choice becomes experience. So now, your subconscious begins to respond to reality differently. When an option appears, it no longer dismisses it automatically. When help is available, it no longer overlooks it. When timing opens, It no longer hesitates out of habit. There is no excitement spike here, no rush of adrenaline, just a quiet yes, where there used to be uncertainty, just a subtle leaning forward instead of pulling back. You may later experience this as intuition, a feeling of this feels right, a calm nudge, a sense of clarity without overthinking. That is your subconscious responding to a world it now trusts more. Because when trust increases, perception widens. Your subconscious is also learning when not to react, when to let things pass, when not to engage with noise, distraction, or unnecessary struggle. This selective responsiveness conserves energy. It creates space. It allows alignment to feel natural. You are not chasing outcomes. You are responding to openings. And because this process happens below conscious awareness, it feels effortless. You do not feel like you are trying. You simply find yourself in the right place, making the right choice at the right time, without knowing exactly how you arrived there. This is calibration. Your subconscious adjusts internal signals so they match what serves you now, not what once protected you. Old alarms quiet down. New signals emerge. Signals of readiness. Signals of alignment. Signals of flow. Nothing about this is loud. It is the quiet confidence of knowing when to move and when to rest. The calm awareness of recognizing what matters. The ease of not needing to force outcomes. As this section settles in, your subconscious integrates a powerful understanding that life communicates constantly, but only a relaxed mind can hear it clearly. You are relaxed now. You are open now. You are receptive without effort. And so reality begins to respond, not all at once, not dramatically, but consistently. You do not need to remember this. You do not need to watch for signs. Your subconscious will handle that for you. Sleep continues. The body remains calm, and your inner guidance grows clearer, quietly tuning you to the path that already knows your name. As the night deepens and your body remains comfortably still, your subconscious enters a quieter rhythm, one where effort is no longer the default response. This is where an important shift begins to settle in. A shift away from strain, away from pushing, away from believing that struggle is required for things to move forward. Your subconscious has learned effort from the world. It learned that trying harder meant being safer. That tension meant control. That rest meant falling behind. But those lessons were learned in a different season, and tonight they are gently released. There is no alarm here, no sudden drop, just a gradual easing, like muscles unclenching after holding for too long. Your subconscious begins to recognize a new truth. Ease is not laziness. Ease is alignment. Ease is what happens when resistance dissolves and energy can finally flow where it belongs. As you sleep, your inner system recalibrates. It learns that forward movement does not have to feel heavy, that progress does not need to hurt, that clarity can arrive quietly, without mental noise or emotional pressure. You are not giving up control. You are releasing unnecessary tension. There is a difference. Struggle often comes from trying to force outcomes before the internal conditions are ready. Ease comes from allowing readiness to lead. Tonight, your subconscious learns how to choose the second path instinctively. You may notice later that you stop over-explaining yourself, that you stop justifying your pace, that you stop proving your worth through exhaustion. This happens naturally because your subconscious no longer associates effort with value. You are allowed to move forward without resistance. You are allowed to receive without earning. You are allowed to rest without guilt. These ideas are not spoken loudly. They are absorbed slowly, like warmth spreading beneath the skin as your subconscious accepts ease. As the new baseline, old patterns of self-pressure begin to dissolve. You no longer rush decisions out of fear. You no longer cling to struggle as a familiar identity. You no longer assume that peace means something is wrong. Peace becomes normal. Flow becomes expected. Simplicity becomes safe. This shift creates space. Space in your thoughts. Space in your body. Space in your emotional world. And in that space, things can rearrange themselves naturally. You may experience this as fewer internal arguments, less resistance when choosing rest, more trust when allowing things to unfold. This is not because you stopped caring. It is because you stopped fighting. Your subconscious understands now that alignment feels lighter than force, that when something is right, it does not need to be dragged into place. It settles. And so, tonight, your system learns to wait for that settling, to move when movement feels smooth, to pause when pause feels right. This intelligence is ancient. It does not need instruction. You are not slowing down your life. You are removing friction. As sleep continues, this new default integrates more deeply. The nervous system stays calm. The breath remains steady. The mind stays quiet. You are supported by the rhythm of ease now. Nothing needs to change overnight. Nothing needs to be proven. Nothing needs to be chased. Your subconscious already knows how to choose alignment over effort. It is simply remembering. You rest, you drift, and ease quietly becomes the way forward as your breathing remains slow and natural, and your body stays gently supported by rest. Your subconscious begins to release something that has quietly weighed on it for a long time. There is no confrontation here, no analysis, just a soft loosening, the kind that happens when something is no longer needed. Your subconscious has learned comparison without being asked. It learned to measure itself against others, to notice what seemed missing, delayed, or unequal. This was never a flaw. It was conditioning. It was the mind trying to locate safety and direction by looking outward. But tonight, that habit begins to fade. As you sleep, your subconscious gently withdraws its attention from other timelines, other paths, other lives, not with rejection, but with indifference. What others have or lack no longer feels relevant to your nervous system. Their pace no longer sets your rhythm. Their success no longer defines your worth. There is relief in this detachment. You are not pulling away from the world. You are coming back to yourself. Comparison dissolves not because you force it away, but because it no longer serves a purpose. Your subconscious begins to understand that every comparison fragments attention, and fragmented attention drains energy. Tonight, that energy returns home. With this return comes independence, emotional independence, the kind that does not need to prove, compete, or keep score, the kind that allows appreciation without envy, awareness without lack. Scarcity thinking loosens its grip. Your subconscious has carried the idea that there is only so much to go around, so much time, so much opportunity, so much recognition. And because of that belief, it learned to tighten, to hurry, to fear being left behind. But as you rest, that belief gently unravels. There is more room than you were taught to see, more pathways than you were taught to imagine, more timing than you were taught to trust. Your subconscious absorbs this quietly. It begins to feel that abundance is not something taken from others, but something expressed uniquely through you. What is meant for you does not require competition. It does not require comparison. It does not require urgency. It requires presence. As this understanding settles in, your inner world becomes calmer. You stop measuring your progress against invisible standards. You stop questioning your worth based on external markers. You stop needing confirmation that you are on track. You are on your own track, and that is enough. This release creates space, deep internal space, space where creativity can breathe, space where intuition can speak, space where calm confidence can grow without interference. You may notice over time that social noise affects you less, that other people's timelines no longer trigger pressure, that success elsewhere no longer feels like evidence of your absence. This is not detachment from life. It is freedom within it. Your subconscious learns that fulfillment is not comparative. It is internal alignment. And alignment does not ask, am I ahead or behind? It asks only, am I connected to myself? Tonight, that connection strengthens. You no longer scan outward for permission to feel at ease. You no longer need external reference points to feel complete. You no longer borrow urgency from the world. Your subconscious settles into sufficiency, into a quiet knowing that you are enough in this moment, without adjustment, without acceleration, without explanation. Nothing is being taken away. Everything unnecessary is being released. As sleep continues, this independence stabilizes. It becomes natural, unremarkable, simply how you exist now. You rest without comparison. You move without scarcity, and your inner world grows spacious, calm, and self-contained. Sleep deepens. The mind remains quiet, and peace becomes the baseline once again. As your body remains deeply at rest, and your mind floats in that quiet space between thoughts, your subconscious begins to tune into something subtle and steady. Not a voice, not a command, just a gentle inner signal that has always been there, waiting for the noise to soften. This is where intuition becomes clearer. Your subconscious has always known how to guide you. It has always received information before the conscious mind could name it. But in busy moments, in loud seasons, those signals were easy to miss. Tonight, there is space again, and in that space, guidance rises naturally. There is no urgency in intuition. It does not shout. It does not argue. It simply presents a sense of rightness or not yet. A quiet pull forward, a calm pause. As you sleep, your subconscious relearns how to trust these signals without fear. You no longer need to second guess every feeling. You no longer need to override inner knowing with doubt. You no longer need external permission to listen inward. As rest deepens, your subconscious strengthens its connection to this inner guidance. It begins to recognize patterns again, when something aligns, when something drains, when something is complete. This recognition is felt in the body first. A soft ease, a gentle openness, a relaxed clarity. You are not being taught anything new. You are remembering. Remembering how it feels when a choice is right. Remembering how it feels when timing is off. Remembering how to pause without panic and move without force. Your intuition does not rush you. It does not scare you. It does not confuse you. It steadies you. As you sleep, your subconscious learns that it is safe to trust these subtle cues, that listening inward does not lead to danger, that following quiet alignment does not cause loss, that slowing down to feel does not mean falling behind. This trust begins to replace overthinking. The mind no longer needs to run endless scenarios. It no longer needs to rehearse conversations or predict outcomes. Your subconscious handles direction gently, automatically, through feeling rather than analysis. You may later notice this as simplicity. Decisions feeling clearer. Distractions losing their pull. Confusion dissolving without explanation. This is intuition integrated, not dramatic, not mystical, just natural guidance restored. Your subconscious also learns discernment, knowing when to act and when to wait, knowing which signals matter and which are noise. This discernment brings calm confidence. You stop reacting to everything. You begin responding only to what aligns. As this settles in, trust deepens. Trust in yourself. Trust in your timing. Trust in your internal compass. You no longer fear missing something important because your subconscious knows how to recognize what belongs to you. Nothing needs to be forced. Nothing needs to be figured out tonight. Your subconscious is already organizing information beneath awareness, sorting what matters from what doesn't, aligning your next steps quietly and precisely. You do not need to remember these words. You do not need to recall this feeling. Your intuition is not fragile. It strengthens with rest. It sharpens with calm. It guides without effort. As sleep continues, this connection stabilizes. Inner signals feel clearer. Trust feels safer, and your inner guidance becomes something you move with, not question. You rest. You listen without trying, and your subconscious knows exactly where to lead you next. As sleep deepens further, and the boundary between awareness and rest softens almost completely, your subconscious enters a receptive rhythm that feels slow, steady, and safe. This is the space where repetition no longer feels repetitive. It feels soothing, familiar, like gentle waves that do not need to arrive anywhere. They simply move. Now, your subconscious begins to receive a quiet stream of reinforcement. Not commands, not demands, just steady truths offered softly, at a pace that feels natural to the sleeping mind. You are safe to rest. You are safe to change. You are safe to receive. These ideas drift through gently, without emphasis. They do not need to be believed consciously. They simply pass through, again and again, settling deeper each time. Your subconscious listens best when nothing is asked of it. And so these affirmations arrive neutrally, without excitement, without urgency. They are not meant to wake you. They are meant to accompany you. You are supported. You are allowed. You are already enough. Each phrase lands quietly, like a feather touching water. No ripples, no disturbance, just presence. As this stream continues, your subconscious begins to recognize these ideas as familiar rather than new. And familiarity is powerful. Familiar thoughts become default settings. Default settings become automatic responses. You do not need to repeat anything. You do not need to focus. Your subconscious absorbs what it needs effortlessly. There is no single message here. There is a pattern, a tone, a feeling of steadiness that wraps around your inner world and holds it in place. You are moving in the right direction. Things are allowed to work out. You do not need to force clarity. These ideas return gently, spaced out, slow enough to blend into sleep. They are not affirmations you repeat. They are assumptions your subconscious begins to adopt. Your nervous system remains calm as these reinforcements continue. Breathing stays slow. Muscles remain relaxed. The mind stays quiet, open, and receptive. Nothing here asks for belief. Nothing here asks for effort. Nothing here asks for action. Your subconscious simply listens, and listening is enough. As the repetition continues, something stabilizes inside you. A sense of steadiness, a sense of internal permission, a sense that things are unfolding without needing supervision. You are exactly where you need to be. You are not behind. You are not missing anything. These ideas move through again, softly, like distant echoes that feel reassuring rather than loud. Your subconscious understands tone more than words. And the tone here is calm certainty, gentle allowance, quiet trust. You are becoming more aligned simply by resting. You are supported even when you sleep. You are changing in ways that feel natural. The repetition continues, slower now, stretching across the deeper layers of rest. There is no beginning and no end to it, just a steady presence that reassures without explanation. And because this happens while you sleep, it integrates without resistance. There is nothing to argue with, nothing to question, nothing to analyze. Your subconscious recognizes safety. It recognizes permission. It recognizes stability. As this section settles, the stream fades into the background, continuing quietly even as words become less distinct. Meaning remains, even as language dissolves. You rest, you drift, and the reinforcement continues, softly, steadily, long after conscious awareness has fully gone. As the night moves deeper and your sleep becomes heavier and more complete, your subconscious reaches a point of quiet stability. This is not the moment of change. It is the moment where change settles, where nothing new is introduced, where what has already been received is allowed to take shape without interference. This is the locking phase. Your subconscious is not tightening or restricting anything. It is simply recognizing what now feels normal, what feels familiar, what no longer needs adjustment. The identity you have been gently absorbing, calm, grounded, receptive, trusting, begins to feel like the default, not something you turn on, not something you perform, just the way you exist when you are not trying. There is a deep sense of internal alignment here. No effort, no rehearsal, no vigilance. Your subconscious no longer checks for contradictions. It accepts this state as stable. You are not becoming someone else. You are stabilizing as yourself. As this settles in, old fluctuations lose importance. Temporary moods do not threaten your center. Passing thoughts do not define your direction. Your inner system holds steady even as surface experiences shift. This stability is quiet. It does not announce itself. It simply holds. Your subconscious now understands that this version of you is safe to maintain, that ease does not lead to loss, that clarity does not create risk, that calm does not invite disruption. Because of this understanding, self-sabotage patterns no longer find traction. They do not disappear dramatically. They simply fail to activate. The internal environment no longer supports them. You do not need to watch for them. You do not need to correct them. They no longer feel relevant. Your subconscious has chosen coherence over conflict. As sleep continues, this coherence deepens. Thoughts align naturally. Emotions regulate without force. Reactions soften before they escalate. You do not feel controlled, you feel contained. Contained by stability. Contained by familiarity. Contained by inner permission. You may later notice this as resilience. The ability to return to calm more quickly. The ability to remain centered even when circumstances fluctuate. This is not numbness. This is grounding. Your identity no longer wobbles with external input. The mind no longer asks, "Am I doing this right?" The body no longer braces for disruption. The system no longer anticipates collapse. There is trust here, not in outcomes, but in self-regulation, in your capacity to respond rather than react, to remain aligned even when things change. Your subconscious locks this in gently, not like a door closing, but like a foundation setting. Solid, unremarkable, reliable. Nothing needs reinforcement now. Nothing needs repetition. Nothing needs checking. What has been integrated is stable. As this phase completes, your subconscious continues to hold this identity quietly through the night. It does not require maintenance. It does not require attention. It simply remains. You rest without effort. You sleep without concern. And who you are now feels grounded, familiar, and steady, even as you drift deeper into rest. As your sleep remains deep and uninterrupted, your subconscious enters a gentle clearing phase, not one of effort or confrontation, but one of quiet non-engagement. This is where old patterns lose their grip, not because they are fought, but because they are no longer fed. Self-sabotage never came from weakness. It came from protection, from old systems trying to keep you within what once felt familiar and safe. Tonight, your subconscious understands that safety no longer lives there. There is no need to name patterns, no need to relive them, no need to analyze where they came from. Your subconscious already knows, and because it knows, it begins to disengage from them naturally. Old impulses that once triggered hesitation, delay, or retreat no longer find the same internal response. The emotional charge behind them softens. The urgency fades. They pass through like distant echoes that no longer demand attention. This is not suppression. This is irrelevance. Your subconscious has learned new reference points: calm, stability, trust, alignment. Compared to these, old sabotage signals feel outdated. They do not match the current internal environment, and systems that no longer match shut down quietly. You are not stopping yourself from moving forward. You are no longer pulling yourself backward. There is a profound difference. As you sleep, your subconscious releases the need to create obstacles as a form of control. It learns that control is no longer required to feel safe. That movement forward does not lead to danger. That ease does not invite loss. The internal alarm system stands down. You may later notice this as follow-through without resistance, as clarity without procrastination, as momentum without force. Not because you pushed harder, but because nothing pulled you away. This is the absence of sabotage, not the management of it. Your subconscious also releases the habit of testing yourself. You no longer need to see how much you can endure. You no longer need to delay good things to prove readiness. You no longer need to retreat just before things stabilize. You are allowed to arrive. You are allowed to stay. You are allowed to continue. These permissions do not arrive as thoughts. They arrive as nervous system calm, as breath that stays steady, as decisions that feel simple rather than charged. Your subconscious understands now that consistency is safe. That forward motion does not need interruption. That growth does not need self-imposed friction to be real. And because this understanding settles during sleep, integrates smoothly. There is nothing to override, nothing to resist, nothing to correct. Old loops dissolve because the environment they depended on no longer exists. As this clearing continues, your inner world feels quieter, less reactive, less conflicted. You are not negotiating with yourself anymore. You are moving in one direction, gently, steadily. You may not notice this immediately. It will feel normal, unremarkable, like the absence of noise you forgot was there. That is how true release feels. Your subconscious does not announce the change. It simply stops repeating the old pattern. Sleep deepens. The body remains calm, and forward movement becomes uninterrupted. Not because you are pushing, but because nothing is standing in the way anymore. You rest. You drift. And the space where self-sabotage once lived remains quietly empty as the night continues and your sleep remains deep and undisturbed. Your subconscious begins to gently turn its attention toward what comes next. Not with anticipation, not with pressure, but with calm expectation. This is not planning. This is imprinting. Your subconscious is preparing for tomorrow without effort. It does not imagine specific events. It does not rehearse outcomes. Instead, it establishes a tone, a baseline, a quiet assumption about how waking will feel. And that assumption is ease. As you sleep, your subconscious begins to associate the idea of waking up with calm clarity. Not urgency, not heaviness, not resistance. Just a subtle readiness. A sense that the next day is something you can step into rather than brace against. You are not preparing to perform. You are preparing to be. Your subconscious sets the expectation that your body will wake rested enough, that your mind will wake clear enough, that your emotions will wake steady enough. Not perfect, just supported. This matters because the first moments after waking often set the tone for everything that follows. Tonight, that tone is being rewritten gently, without instruction. You are allowed to wake without dread. You are allowed to wake without rushing. You are allowed to wake without carrying the weight of yesterday. As this imprint settles, your subconscious also prepares you to notice small shifts. A lighter breath, a calmer reaction, a clearer thought. These are not things you will search for. They will simply be there. You may wake and feel slightly different without knowing why. Less tension in the body, less noise in the mind, less resistance to beginning. This difference does not need explanation. Your subconscious has already decided that waking up does not require defense. That consciousness can return without alarm. That being present in the day is safe. As sleep continues, your nervous system aligns with this expectation. Hormones regulate. Muscles remain relaxed. The internal environment stays calm and supportive. You are not being programmed. You are being oriented toward a day that meets you gently, oriented toward choices that feel natural, oriented toward movement without friction. Your subconscious also releases the habit of anticipating problems before they appear. Tomorrow does not arrive loaded with prediction. It arrives open. You do not need to prepare for everything. You do not need to solve anything in advance. You do not need to carry tomorrow while you sleep. That work is already complete. As this section settles in, the expectation becomes simple and quiet. Waking up will feel manageable, grounded, clear enough, and that is enough to change everything. Sleep remains deep, the body remains safe, and tomorrow is being welcomed, not with effort, but with calm confidence that carries you forward naturally. As sleep continues to hold you gently, your subconscious begins to settle into something profoundly simple. This is the phase where change no longer feels like change, where improvement no longer feels noticeable, where the new way of being becomes so natural that it stops standing out at all. This is normalization. Your subconscious understands that lasting transformation does not announce itself. It blends in. It becomes ordinary. It becomes the background instead of the focus. Tonight, your inner system accepts this quietly. You are no longer waiting for a moment where things suddenly feel different. You are no longer checking yourself for signs. You are no longer asking, is it working? Those questions dissolve because the answer no longer matters. This is just how you are now. Calm feels normal. Clarity feels unremarkable. Stability feels familiar. Your subconscious releases the need to dramatize progress. It no longer seeks emotional spikes to confirm movement. It understands that the most powerful shifts feel subtle, almost invisible, because they align with who you already are. You are not surprised by peace. You are not impressed by ease. You are not suspicious of things going smoothly. They simply belong. As this normalization settles in, your subconscious stops labeling experiences as good or bad so intensely. It responds instead with balance, with proportion, with grounded presence. Emotional extremes soften. Reactions lose their edge. You are not becoming passive. You are becoming steady. There is a quiet confidence that comes from this steadiness, not the kind that needs affirmation, the kind that doesn't notice itself, the kind that simply operates. Your subconscious now treats positive change as expected rather than exceptional. This is important because what feels expected no longer creates internal resistance. It flows. You no longer wait for permission to feel okay. You no longer wait for proof to relax. You no longer wait for things to fall apart before trusting calm. This way of being feels ordinary, and that is why it lasts. As sleep deepens, your inner world organizes itself around this new normal. Thoughts arise and pass without grabbing attention. Emotions move without demanding reaction. Choices feel simpler because they are no longer charged. You may later notice that you stop narrating your life internally, that you stop explaining things to yourself, that you stop monitoring your state. This is not disconnection. It is presence without commentary. Your subconscious recognizes that nothing needs fixing right now. normalization also means safety. When something feels normal, the nervous system does not prepare for threat. It does not brace. It does not scan. It rests, and so your body rests more deeply. Your breath remains steady. Your mind stays quiet. There is no anticipation here, no excitement, no vigilance, just continuity. Your subconscious gently anchors this sense of this is how things are now. Not as a belief, not as an affirmation, as an atmosphere. You live inside this atmosphere without effort. As this section completes, change disappears into the background where it belongs. It no longer needs attention to continue. It sustains itself naturally. You rest, you drift, and the way you are now feels so normal that it doesn't need a name. This is the quiet power of integration. This is stability without effort. This is who you are, and it feels ordinary, safe, and real. As the night reaches its deepest stillness, and your sleep settles into a slow, even rhythm, your subconscious completes a quiet, powerful process. Nothing new is added now. Nothing is adjusted. This is the phase where everything begins to work together naturally, without effort, without direction, without awareness. Your inner world has changed its tone, and because of that, the outer world responds. Not dramatically, not all at once, but smoothly. Your subconscious understands something important now. Reality reorganizes itself around internal alignment, not around desire, not around force, around coherence. And coherence is what you are resting in now. You are no longer pulling at life. You are no longer resisting it. You are allowing it to meet you where you are. As you sleep, this alignment continues on its own. The subconscious does not stop working when the words stop. It keeps adjusting quietly, matching inner expectations with outer experiences, aligning perception with opportunity, movement with timing. You do not need to guide this. You do not need to supervise it. You are not responsible for making it happen. Your only role was to rest, and you have done that. The internal signals you send now are clear, calm, and consistent. There is no mixed message, no urgency layered with doubt, no wanting paired with fear. And because the signal is clean, the response becomes cleaner too. You may notice, over time, that things resolve with less effort, that conversations unfold more easily, that opportunities appear without struggle, that solutions arrive without forcing. This is not luck. This is alignment expressing itself. Your subconscious is no longer sending resistance into the system. There is a deep sense of cooperation now between thought and emotion, intention and action, inner world and outer world. Nothing needs to be pushed into place. Things find their position naturally. You are not manifesting. You are allowing alignment to express itself. As sleep continues, this state stabilizes further. The nervous system remains calm. The body remains relaxed. The mind remains quiet. There is no anticipation, no checking, no grasping. Reality is free to rearrange itself around you. your subconscious understands that what belongs will stay. What does not belong will fall away without drama. You no longer need to manage outcomes. Alignment does that for you. There is a sense of inevitability here, not forced, not dramatic, just natural progression. Like gravity, like water finding its level. Nothing is rushed, nothing is delayed. Everything moves at the pace it needs. You do not need to wake up expecting miracles. You do not need to watch for proof. You do not need to do anything differently. Life will meet you where you are now. As this section settles in, your subconscious continues its work quietly, beyond language, beyond thought. It holds the alignment steady while you rest deeply, undisturbed. You sleep, you drift, and reality continues to shift, gently, consistently, in response to who you are now. As the night completes its slow arc and rest settles into its deepest quiet, there is nothing left to do and nothing left to add. This is the closing seal, not an ending, but a continuation without words. Your subconscious does not need instruction now. It is already carrying everything forward in its own language, at its own pace. The work does not stop when the sound fades. It does not pause when attention shifts. It continues because it has become natural. There is a sense of completion here, not dramatic, not final, just whole. Everything that needed to soften has softened. Everything that needed to align has aligned. Everything that needed to release has released. Your subconscious recognizes this state as stable and safe. It does not rush to change it. It does not question it. It simply maintains it quietly, the way balance is maintained without effort. You are not holding anything together. Nothing is fragile. Nothing needs protection. The changes that occurred did not require force, and they do not require maintenance. They remain because they fit, because they belong. As sleep continues, or as waking gently arrives, this integration stays with you. It does not announce itself. It does not ask for attention. It expresses itself through ease, through clarity, through the absence of unnecessary struggle. Your subconscious understands now that reality responds best to calm consistency. And that is what you carry forward. You may notice over time that life feels slightly less resistant, that decisions feel simpler, that emotional reactions soften before they escalate, that movement feels natural rather than effortful. This is not something you need to notice for it to work. It is already working. There is nothing to remember from this experience, nothing to repeat, nothing to recreate. Your subconscious retains what matters and discards the rest. It keeps what fits and releases what does not. You are complete in this moment. You are supported beyond this moment. And everything continues exactly as it should. Rest remains available to you. Calm remains accessible to you. Alignment remains part of you. This seal does not close anything off. It simply allows everything to continue without interference. You sleep, you wake, you move forward. and the quiet work of your subconscious carries on, steady, gentle, and perfectly timed. Long after these words have faded into silence, you don't need to do anything right now. There is nothing to fix, nothing to understand, nothing to hold together. You've already done enough today. And now, this moment is simply about resting. As you lie here, listening, allow your body to settle in its own way. Not forcing relaxation, not trying to sleep, just allowing gravity to hold you, the surface beneath you to support you, and the night to do what it naturally does. If thoughts are still moving, that's okay. If your mind is still active, that's okay too. Nothing about this moment needs to be different than it is. You may notice your breathing without changing it. In and out, a rhythm that knows how to continue without effort. Your body has done this for you every night of your life. You don't need to stay alert. You don't need to pay close attention. You don't even need to remember what is being said. These words are not meant for your conscious mind to analyze. They are simply here, like background music, like a familiar sound in another room. You can listen or not listen, and it will still be fine. From this point forward, you are allowed to let go of the day, of the roles you played, of the conversations, the decisions, the unfinished thoughts. Imagine gently that today is being placed down somewhere outside of you, not pushed away, just set aside, as if you're closing a book that can be opened again later. Nothing important will be lost by resting. Nothing valuable will disappear because you stopped thinking about it. In fact, the deeper parts of you work best when you are no longer trying. You are safe in this moment, safe to rest, safe to soften, safe to drift. Your body already understands how to sleep. Your mind already understands how to shift into quieter states. You don't need to guide it. You don't need to manage it. If your attention wanders, let it wander. If images appear, let them come and go. If nothing happens at all, that is perfect. There is a part of you that remains awake even as you sleep. A deeper awareness that listens effortlessly. That part doesn't need effort or concentration. It responds best when you are relaxed, when you are no longer trying to make something happen, so you can allow yourself to sink a little deeper now. Not all at once, just a small softening, like loosening a tight grip without dropping anything. Your shoulders can release, your jaw can unclench, your forehead can smooth out, and if it doesn't, that's fine too. Tonight is not about forcing change. It's about allowing space. And in that space, things naturally begin to reorganize themselves. You don't need to believe anything. You don't need to expect anything. You don't need to hope or visualize or imagine outcomes. Simply being here is enough. As your body grows heavier or lighter or simply still, you may notice that the edges of thoughts begin to blur. Sentences fade before they finish. Moments stretch gently. That's your nervous system shifting into rest. That's your system recognizing that it can pause. You are not missing anything by letting go. You are not falling behind. You are not losing control. you are returning to a natural state your body remembers well. From here on, you are free to drift in and out of awareness, free to sleep lightly or deeply, free to remain half aware or completely unconscious. These words will continue calmly, steadily, without asking anything of you. They can simply pass through. And if sleep comes now, let it come. If it comes later, that's fine too. There is no rush. There is no goal. Just rest. Just release. Just allow the night to carry you forward. Gently, naturally. Without effort, even as you rest. Even as your eyes close or drift in half-awareness, there is a part of you that remains quietly alert. It is not the part of you that worries, plans, or remembers. It is a deeper part, an effortless observer that notices without needing to intervene, without needing to act. This part of you is always awake, always listening, always aware, even when the rest of your mind and body are drifting into sleep. And tonight, as you lie here, that part is gently tuning in, noticing the soft rhythm of your breath, the subtle movement of your chest, the tiny shifts of your body as it settles. It listens to everything without judgment. It does not try to fix what is heard. It does not try to force the mind to think or feel differently. It simply receives, like the surface of a calm lake, reflecting quietly without creating waves. You may notice thoughts coming and going, fleeting images, fragments of conversations, or moments from today, or even long ago. That is completely natural. You do not need to follow them, chase them, or push them away. They are simply passing through, like clouds in the sky of your mind. And as you watch them drift, you may realize that the deeper part of you is listening, learning, observing, storing what is useful, and letting the rest float by. You are not required to analyze or understand anything. You do not need to remember what is being said, or take action, or even feel anything at all. Your subconscious mind is awake, quietly attentive, and it responds best when there is no pressure, no urgency, no expectation. It is ready to receive gentle suggestions, subtle impressions, and ideas that support your well-being, your growth, your natural unfolding. This part of you already knows how to interpret what is safe, helpful, and aligned. It knows how to integrate what serves you, how to reinforce what is beneficial, how to filter what is unnecessary or harmful. You can trust it to do its work, to absorb what is needed, and to release what is not. All you need to do is allow, release, and soften. Tonight, you are creating space for the deep mind to operate. Space where transformation can happen without struggle, without effort, without strain. Space where the old, rigid patterns can slowly loosen, where the habitual thought loops can fade, and where new, gentle ways of being can begin to take root. There is no force, no timeline, no pressure, only the quiet unfolding of what is naturally aligned with your highest good. As you rest deeper, you may notice a sense of safety washing over you, a soft, pervasive assurance that everything is as it should be. Your body knows how to sleep. Your mind knows how to receive. Your heart knows how to remain calm, and the deeper part of you, the part that is always awake, knows how to coordinate this process effortlessly. It is listening even now, listening to the rise and fall of your chest, the gentle flow of your breath, the subtle sounds around you. It is listening to the tone of these words, the cadence, the rhythm, the pauses between each phrase. It is absorbing the calm, the permissiveness, the lack of urgency. And it is storing this calm, this ease, this quiet receptivity deep within you. Nothing about this process requires effort. Nothing needs to be done correctly. There are no rules to follow, no expectations to meet, no tasks to complete. Simply being here, simply allowing yourself to rest, is enough, even if sleep has not yet fully arrived. Even if your mind still moves between thoughts and images, your subconscious is active. It is awake, listening, organizing, and preparing. It is creating the conditions for change, for growth, for alignment. And it does so without drama, without haste, without strain. You may notice a gentle awareness of your body expanding, softening, melting into the surface beneath you. Your muscles releasing tension without conscious effort. Your mind beginning to feel less rigid, less controlled, more flexible, more spacious, and all the while, the deeper part of you observes, listens, and integrates quietly. You do not need to intervene. You do not need to direct. You do not need to control. You are free to rest, free to drift, free to be. And as you continue to rest, even if only half aware, your subconscious continues to listen and absorb, gently preparing you for the subtle shifts, the soft transformations, and the gradual unfolding of a new reality. It knows what is helpful, what is necessary, what is aligned with your growth. It works effortlessly while you sleep, while you breathe, while you simply exist. Everything is unfolding naturally. Everything is safe. Everything is aligned with your highest good. You are already being heard. You are already being supported. You are already being guided. And the deeper part of you, always awake, continues its quiet, gentle work. It listens, it absorbs, it integrates, and it does so perfectly, effortlessly, silently. Allow yourself to sink deeper into this knowledge, this awareness, this gentle presence. It is always with you, even when you are not consciously aware. It is always listening, always learning, always supporting. And as you rest now, even if sleep is still approaching slowly, know that you are already in the right place. You are already doing exactly what is needed. You are already allowing the deep, receptive mind to awaken while the rest of you rests. You do not need to do more. You do not need to try harder. You do not need to force understanding. Simply rest, simply allow, simply be, and in this quiet, receptive state, transformation can begin, subtly, gently, naturally, as your mind listens and learns while your body sleeps. Now, as you continue to rest, there is no need to hold on to the events of today, no need to replay conversations, decisions, or moments that have already passed. Everything that happened today has served its purpose, And now, it is time to set it aside, not because it was unimportant, not because it should be forgotten, but simply because your mind and body deserve a pause, a moment of stillness, a moment of freedom. Imagine yourself gently placing today into a soft, secure container, a container that holds it safely, without spilling, without judgment. You do not need to carry it, analyze it, or fix it anymore. It can rest there, separate from you, while you drift deeper into this moment. As you place it down, feel the subtle release in your shoulders, your jaw, the small spaces between your fingers. Notice the quiet that begins to appear as the weight of the day lifts away. And as you let go, allow yourself to breathe more deeply, more freely. Inhaling gently, exhaling softly, breath moving like a slow tide, drawing in calm, releasing tension. With each exhale, imagine fragments of today's busyness floating away. With each inhale, invite a sense of ease, of spaciousness, of peace. There's nothing that must be solved before sleep, nothing that must be remembered before rest. You are safe to let it all exist outside of you for now. The mind that tends to worry, plan, or rehearse is welcome to observe, but it does not need to act. It is free to rest alongside the body, just as you are. You may notice memories or thoughts arising on their own. Let them pass like leaves drifting on a gentle stream. Do not grasp them. Do not resist them. Simply watch them float by. Some may linger, some may fade immediately. All are welcome in their time, and none need to remain with you. As your attention drifts inward, you may begin to notice subtle sensations in your body. The gentle rise and fall of your chest, the faint warmth in your hands, the weight of your legs pressing lightly against the surface beneath you. Each of these sensations is a reminder that you are here, resting and safe. No urgency, no expectation, only presence. Your subconscious is already observing all of this, quietly taking note. It recognizes the release of today's events, the softening of tension, the letting go of mental clutter. It absorbs the calm. It begins to prepare the ground for the gentle shifts, the subtle adjustments, the new patterns that will emerge while you sleep. Even as you drift, know that the day's experiences do not define you any more than a passing cloud defines the sky. They were moments in time. And now, in this quiet, expansive space, you are more than those moments. You are the awareness that notices them, the presence that witnesses them, the deeper mind that continues to learn and integrate while the body rests. Allow the edges of the day to soften. Let the sharp corners blur, the boundaries fade. Feel the subtle easing in your chest, in your shoulders, in your mind. Notice how this release brings a sense of lightness, a sense of freedom, a sense of openness. There is nothing to fix. There is nothing to change. There is only this moment of rest, this quiet, this ease. And in this moment, your subconscious begins to organize, to adjust, to align. It knows what is helpful. It knows what is unnecessary. It knows how to integrate what matters and release what what does not. Imagine now a gentle wave of calm sweeping from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. With each wave, fragments of today's activity, fragments of lingering thoughts, dissolve softly. They do not vanish harshly. They fade naturally, like the slow retreat of the tide from the shore. Each wave brings you deeper into relaxation, deeper into surrender, deeper into trust that your mind is doing exactly what it needs to do. Even if you remain partially aware, the body is relaxing further. Muscles that were tense now release without effort. The jaw softens, the shoulders drop, the spine settles into the surface beneath you. Every breath, every heartbeat, every gentle shift is a reminder that rest is natural, necessary, and restorative. Your mind can now drift more freely, unburdened from the weight of today. It begins to open. Patterns that have been rigid begin to soften. Old loops of thought begin to loosen their grip. There is space here for new impressions, for new possibilities, for gentle transformation. You are safe to let this process continue. You are safe to allow change to happen quietly, subtly, without effort or intervention. You do not need to plan, anticipate, or push. The mind that listens while you sleep is already working in ways that you do not need to understand. Let your attention rest softly on your breath, on the gentle rise and fall of your body, on the feeling of the surface beneath you supporting you completely. Know that in this state, in this moment, your subconscious is attentive, learning, and receptive. It hears what you need to hear. It absorbs what will serve you. It releases what is no longer necessary. And as you continue to breathe, to soften, to let go, feel the quiet expansion of this space inside you. A space where the day does not need to intrude, where the mind does not need to strive, where the body can be completely supported and at ease. Every sound, every word, every pause is absorbed effortlessly. Nothing needs to be held consciously. The deeper mind listens, integrates, and prepares. All you need to do is allow it to do so. Now, gently imagine that the container holding today's events is placed just outside of your awareness. You can still sense it exists, but it no longer pulls on your attention. It is safe, it is complete, and you are free, free to drift, free to soften, free to rest. And as you drift further, you may notice that even the smallest thoughts or concerns begin to fade naturally. Even the urge to plan, to anticipate, to judge, begins to soften. All of this makes space for deeper calm, for deeper integration, for subtle transformation. You are here. You are safe. You are letting go. And that is enough. Your subconscious mind is awake, quietly observing, quietly learning, quietly supporting you as you drift. Everything that needs to shift can shift effortlessly now. Everything that is ready to release does so naturally, and everything that is aligned with your highest well-being begins to emerge quietly, gently, subtly, while you rest. This is the beginning of a new rhythm, the rhythm of release, the rhythm of ease, the rhythm of change without effort. and you are perfectly situated to receive it. You are safe to rest. You are safe to drift. You are safe to allow your mind and body to prepare for the gentle unfolding that lies ahead. Now, as you rest more deeply, allow your awareness to expand into the gentle space of letting go. There is no need to cling to old patterns, old stories, or old versions of yourself. They have served their purpose in the past, but they no longer define who you are in this moment. You are not abandoning them. You are simply giving them permission to fade naturally. Like shadows dissolving at sunrise, imagine each old habit, each repeated worry, each lingering self-judgment as a soft thread gently untangling from your mind. There is no struggle, no force, no pushing required. The threads loosen on their own, one by one, effortlessly, simply because the space you are creating allows them to do so. You are not chasing change. You are creating the conditions for it to emerge on its own. And in this space, transformation begins quietly, subtly, naturally. It is safe to let these old patterns drift away. They are not needed to keep you safe, to keep you loved, or to keep you progressing. They are simply familiar, and familiarity can create a sense of resistance. But tonight, in the quiet of this moment, resistance begins to soften. It relaxes, just like your body relaxes into the surface beneath you, just like your breath finds its natural rhythm. Even as thoughts arise, even as memories appear, you can notice them without needing to hold them, analyze them, or react to them. They are like gentle clouds passing through the vast sky of your mind. You are the sky. They are clouds, and the sky does not need to chase the clouds or hold them. It simply remains open, spacious, and clear. Feel the subtle sense of ease that comes from releasing what no longer serves you. Notice how your chest softens, how your jaw unclenches, how your shoulders drop without effort. This softening is mirrored in your mind as the old stories begin to lose their grip, as the habitual loops of thought begin to loosen, as the automatic reactions that no longer serve you begin to fade. You are safe to be different than before. You are safe to release the identity you have held tightly, the identity that has been shaped by past experiences, by other people's expectations, by outdated beliefs. That identity is not gone. It is simply transforming into something lighter, more flexible, more aligned with your true self. And this transformation does not need to be forced. It occurs naturally, in the quiet, receptive state you are creating now. Imagine a soft, gentle light flowing through your mind and body. This light does not push, pull, or demand. It simply illuminates gently, allowing you to see what is ready to be released. Each area of tension, each thought that no longer serves, each lingering habit is softened by this light. It is not harsh or critical. It is nurturing, supportive, and kind. And as this light moves, it encourages the old to loosen, to fade, to dissolve. Your subconscious mind is listening, quietly, attentively, absorbing everything without judgment or effort. It recognizes the release, the softening, the loosening of what is no longer needed. It knows how to integrate these changes in the most natural, effective, effortless way. You do not need to direct it, monitor it, or control it. It works silently, intelligently, perfectly as you drift further. You may notice that the very idea of holding on begins to feel unnecessary. Old fears, old worries, old identities, they begin to lose their weight. They are no longer anchors. They are simply passing impressions, fading naturally as your mind opens to the spaciousness of now. You do not need to resist them. You do not need to chase them. They simply move away on their own. Feel the sense of freedom that comes from this gentle release. Notice how your mind feels lighter, how your body feels supported, how your awareness expands. There is room now for something new, for something subtle, for something quiet yet powerful. And this newness does not need to be forced, imagined, or created. It simply begins to emerge naturally in the receptive, relaxed space you are cultivating. You may notice that sleep itself begins to arrive more easily as the old stories and patterns soften. The mind and body relax in unison, synchronized in a quiet, effortless rhythm. Each breath becomes a wave of calm, each heartbeat a reminder of the natural, restorative process unfolding. You are not required to stay alert or aware. You are simply allowed to rest. Even if your thoughts wander, even if images arise, the process continues. Your subconscious mind, awake and attentive, continues to listen, to learn, to reorganize, to integrate. The old patterns fade without resistance. The new possibilities begin to plant themselves quietly, naturally, subtly. There is no rush, no pressure, no expectation. Transformation is not something to force. It is something to allow. And in this gentle, quiet state, your mind is perfectly positioned to receive the shifts, to absorb the changes, and to align naturally with what serves your growth, your ease, and your well-being. Allow yourself to sink even deeper into this space. Let the body soften further, the mind drift further, the awareness expand further. Every cell, every thought, every heartbeat aligns with the quiet rhythm of release. You are safe. You are supported. You are ready. And as you rest here, allow the old stories, the old patterns, the old ways of being to gently fade. They are not gone. They are simply making room. Room for ease, room for clarity, room for the subtle, natural, effortless transformation that unfolds while you sleep. You do not need to do anything more. You do not need to strive, to plan, to analyze, or to control. Simply rest, simply allow, simply be. And in this quiet, receptive state, the old begins to dissolve, the new begins to emerge, and you continue effortlessly on the path of gentle, natural transformation. Now, in this quiet, receptive space, allow yourself to notice the neutral state of being that exists within you. Not positive, not negative, not striving, not resisting. Simply open, simply aware, simply present. This is the natural state of the mind when it is free from effort, free from expectation, free from judgment. And in this neutral state, the mind becomes soft, flexible, and receptive. You do not need to create anything, change anything, or fix anything. You are not required to feel joy, excitement, or motivation. You are not required to release tension. Although release may come naturally, you are simply allowed to exist in this gentle balance, a space between effort and rest, a space between thought and stillness. This neutral state is not empty or void. It is alive, spacious, and rich with potential. Imagine yourself floating lightly in this space. There is no weight of expectation pressing on you, no sense of needing to be a certain way, no requirement to perform or achieve. Everything you have carried, the worries, the judgments, the plans, can soften here. They do not vanish suddenly or violently. They simply become less important, less demanding, less heavy. You are free to rest in this soft, neutral space. As you continue to breathe gently, notice the subtle rhythm of your body, the rise and fall of your chest, the movement of your abdomen, the gentle flow of blood and energy throughout your body. Everything is natural. Everything is unfolding in its own perfect rhythm. You do not need to control it. You do not need to monitor it. You are simply present, simply aware, simply allowing. In this neutral state, the mind becomes highly receptive to gentle suggestions, subtle impressions, and soft patterns of thought, without resistance, without scrutiny, without the usual filters of critical thinking. The subconscious is open and ready to receive. It absorbs the calm, the ease, the sense of safety, and it begins to align naturally with the subtle guidance flowing through this moment. Notice that in this space, you are not separate from yourself. You are not divided between rest and wakefulness, between effort and ease. You are fully present in this moment, neither clinging to the past nor reaching for the future. And in this presence, the mind can observe without judgment, absorb without effort, and integrate without strain. The neutral state is a powerful place. It is where transformation begins quietly. It is where old patterns loosen their grip. It is where habitual thoughts that no longer serve you can fade gently. It is where new possibilities can take root in the mind, without force, without urgency, without pressure. You may notice that your emotions begin to settle in this state, not by trying to change them, not by resisting them, not by pushing them away. They simply soften, become lighter, less intense, more balanced. And as they settle, a subtle clarity emerges, a quiet awareness that everything is unfolding as it should, that everything you need is available, that you are supported and safe. Allow yourself to rest here in the neutral space for as long as you like. There is no timeline, no goal, no need to hurry. You are simply existing, simply receiving, simply being. And this simple being is enough to allow deep integration, deep rest, and subtle transformation to begin. As you rest, you may notice the mind wandering, drifting through thoughts and images. This is natural. Even in the neutral state, movement occurs, and it does not disturb the calm. Each thought, each image, each fleeting impression is observed and released effortlessly, like a gentle breeze passing through leaves. You may notice the body responding as well, muscles softening further, heart rate settling, breath becoming slower, more natural, more effortless. Each sensation reinforces the sense of ease, safety, and neutrality. In this state, you do not need to evaluate, decide, or act. You are free from pressure, free from urgency, free from the need to control. You are simply resting in the space that exists naturally within you, and this resting allows your mind to integrate, absorb, and align with what serves you most. The neutral state also allows the subconscious to prepare for change without resistance. Because you are neither pushing nor resisting, the mind can work in harmony with your natural rhythms. Subtle shifts begin to occur. Old patterns begin to dissolve. New possibilities begin to emerge quietly, gently, naturally. As you rest in this neutral state, feel the expansion of space within your mind. Notice how light, open, and unburdened it feels. Notice how effortlessly your awareness can drift, how easily it can receive, how naturally it can integrate what serves you. This space is fertile ground for transformation. You are safe to remain here. You are safe to drift. You are safe to let the mind do its work while your body rests. There is no rush, no pressure, no requirement. Everything unfolds in its own perfect timing. And as you rest in this quiet, neutral space, know that the mind is awake in its own way. It listens, it absorbs, it integrates, it prepares. Everything you need to change, to grow, to shift begins here, not through effort, not through strain, not through force, but simply through being, through resting, through allowing. This neutral state is your foundation, your sanctuary, your fertile space for transformation. And as you breathe, as you soften, as you rest, know that it is enough. Simply being here is enough. And from this place, everything begins to change quietly, naturally, effortlessly, while you rest. Now, in this quiet, receptive space, let yourself notice a profound sense of safety, a safety that is not imposed, not demanded, not conditional. It simply exists. It is always present, always accessible, and tonight it surrounds you completely. Your body, your mind, your very being is supported. There is no danger here. There is no need to guard, to protect, to push against anything. You are safe to let go. It is natural for the mind to resist change. Even the thought of transformation can stir uncertainty, hesitation, or doubt. That is normal. The subconscious is protective by design. It wants to ensure that nothing harmful is absorbed, that nothing destabilizing is introduced. But tonight, in this space, you are creating conditions where the mind can relax its defenses. You are creating permission for safety, ease, and gentle transformation. You are safe to allow subtle changes to take root. You are safe to soften old patterns without fear of losing yourself. You are safe to release habits, beliefs, or thought loops that no longer serve you. You do not need to force these changes. You do not need to monitor them. They will occur naturally, gently, at their own pace. Feel this safety in your body. Your shoulders drop, your jaw unclenches, your spine settles. Even the tiniest muscles release tension without your conscious effort. Each breath reinforces this safety. Each exhale carries away the last traces of tension, the last vestiges of worry. With every heartbeat, you are reminded that you are supported, that you are protected, that you are exactly where you need to be. Your mind, too, feels this safety, the part of you that worries, the part that anticipates, the part that doubts. All of these can rest. They do not need to guard you. They do not need to remain vigilant. The deeper part of you, the always awake awareness, knows that it is safe to receive new impressions, new patterns, new ways of thinking. It knows that subtle transformation will occur gently, without disruption, without harm. As you rest in this safety, you may notice that the mind begins to open. It becomes more receptive, more flexible, more willing to let go of old resistance. Even the smallest shift in perception becomes easier. Old fears, old doubts, old limitations, these begin to lose their grip. And as they loosen, you feel lighter, freer, more expansive. You are safe to trust this process. You are safe to trust yourself. You are safe to trust the quiet intelligence of your subconscious mind. It knows what to absorb. It knows what to integrate. It knows what to release, and it works effortlessly, without pressure, without expectation, without your intervention. Imagine now a gentle, protective light surrounding you. It does not confine you or limit you. It does not impose boundaries that are rigid or harsh. It simply exists, softly, pervasively, reassuringly. It reminds you that you are safe. It reminds you that the process of transformation is gentle. It reminds you that all shifts, all changes, all growth happen at the right pace for you. Notice how this sense of safety allows your body to relax even further. Muscles soften, tension melts, the weight of the day is lifted, dispersed, absorbed into the surface beneath you. Even your nervous system, which may have remained alert and vigilant, begins to unwind. It knows that it can rest. It knows that it can let go. It knows that nothing is required of it right now. As your body relaxes, your mind follows. The layers of thought, the habitual loops, the inner chatter, all begin to fade into the background. You do not need to control this process. You do not need to participate actively. You only need to rest and allow the natural rhythm of mind and body to guide the process. And in this space, change can occur without resistance. Patterns that have been rigid for years, that have shaped your experiences, that have defined your reactions, they begin to soften. The mind, now calm and receptive, begins to reorganize itself gently. New pathways, new ways of thinking, new habits of mind can form quietly subtly, naturally. You do not need to observe this process. You do not need to evaluate it. You do not need to remember it. It happens whether you are aware or not. And the deeper part of you, always awake, always listening, ensures that it is aligned with your highest good. Feel now the trust that grows alongside this safety. Trust that the mind knows what is necessary. Trust that the body knows what is necessary. Trust that transformation does not need to be forced. Trust that release and change can happen quietly, softly, naturally. Even if doubts arise, even if fears whisper faintly in the background, they are observed and contained. They are acknowledged, but not clung to. They are recognized as passing impressions, not imperatives. And the deeper mind continues its quiet work, reorganizing, integrating, and guiding effortlessly. You are safe to surrender fully to this moment. Safe to rest completely. Safe to let the subconscious absorb, integrate, and prepare for the gentle shifts that are underway. There is no rush, no timeline, no requirement. Everything unfolds at its own perfect pace. And as you rest in this profound safety, you may notice a quiet confidence emerging, a confidence that you can trust yourself, trust the process, and trust the natural intelligence of your mind and body. You do not need to strive, control, or direct. Everything unfolds exactly as it should. Allow this safety to permeate every cell, every thought, every breath. Allow it to sink deep into your nervous system, your subconscious, your awareness. It is soft, it is calm, it is gentle, and it is unshakable. You are safe. You are supported. You are ready. And in this safety, everything begins to shift gently, naturally, effortlessly, while you rest, while you breathe, while you simply exist. Now, as you continue to rest deeply, allow yourself to notice the gentle loosening of who you have believed yourself to be, the identity you have carried, shaped by experiences, conditioned thoughts, expectations from others, and repeated habits, does not need to remain rigid. It is not fixed. It has been useful, yes, but it is not the totality of who you are. Tonight, in this receptive state, you can let it soften subtly, effortlessly, without forcing it or trying to understand it. Imagine the self you have clung to, the version of you that follows old patterns, that reacts automatically, that holds familiar fears and habits. See it as a garment, comfortable, familiar, yet worn and ready to be loosened. You do not need to remove it completely. You do not need to reject it or fight it. You are simply allowing it to become lighter, more flexible, more open to subtle change. Notice how the mind can relax when it is not confined to a rigid identity. Without the pressure to always act, react, or perform according to old patterns, thoughts begin to flow more freely. The subconscious begins to explore possibilities that were previously blocked by the narrow sense of who you should be. And these possibilities do not need to be forced. They emerge naturally, softly, silently. You are safe to explore beyond the old self. You are safe to let new ways of thinking, feeling, and being emerge. You are safe to embrace change gently, without judgment, without fear, without the need for immediate understanding. This is not a process of becoming someone entirely different. It is a process of allowing yourself to be more fully, more authentically, more expansively who you truly are. As you breathe, notice the subtle spaces that appear between thoughts, between patterns, between habitual reactions. These spaces are where transformation begins. They are where flexibility enters. They are where new neural pathways can form naturally, without effort, without strain, without force. You do not need to direct them. You do not need to plan or anticipate. You simply allow the space to exist. And in that space, change flows effortlessly. Imagine now that the soft, expansive space within you is a kind of canvas. Old patterns, old habits, old self-definitions can relax onto this canvas without losing their value. They are not erased or negated. They simply rest, softened, available if needed, but no longer rigidly enforced. And in the spaces that open, new patterns begin to emerge, subtle, gentle, aligned with your deepest sense of well-being. The subconscious mind listens closely to this process. It observes without judgment. It learns without effort. It integrates what serves, releases what does not, and gradually allows the old self to become more fluid, more adaptable, more open to possibility. You do not need to monitor it. You do not need to understand it. It is already working quietly, intelligently, perfectly, even if your conscious mind still clings to old identities. It does not interfere with this process. The deeper part of you, the always awake awareness, knows exactly how to guide the release and integration of old patterns. It does so gently, silently, effortlessly, while the body rests and the conscious mind drifts. Feel the subtle sense of liberation that comes from softening your identity. Notice how tension eases from your body, how the weight of expectation lifts, how the edges of rigid thoughts blur. You are not required to become something else. You are simply allowed to be more open, more flexible, more receptive to the quiet shifts occurring within you. As the old self softens, the mind becomes more adaptable. New ways of responding, new ways of thinking, new ways of being begin to enter naturally. They do not need to be forced, imagined, or rehearsed. They arrive quietly, organically, as the subconscious integrates the gentle guidance you are receiving. You are safe to trust this process. You are safe to allow the self you have always known to expand, to soften, to evolve naturally. There is no rush. There is no need for effort. There is no pressure to understand or control. Breathe deeply, allowing your awareness to settle into the space that has opened within you. With every exhale, feel old rigidity leaving your mind and body. With every inhale, feel openness, ease, and subtle possibility entering. You may notice moments where old habits or self-definitions try to reassert themselves. Do not resist them. Do not fight them. They are simply passing impressions, fading naturally as the deeper mind continues its quiet work. Each moment of awareness, each softening of tension, reinforces the gentle release of old patterns. You are already changing, even now, without needing to act, without needing to strive. The old self softens, the mind relaxes, the body rests, and the subconscious integrates seamlessly. You are becoming more fluid, more adaptable, more aligned with your true, expansive self. Allow this process to continue effortlessly. Notice the peace that comes from releasing rigid self-definitions. Notice the lightness that arises when old identities no longer dominate your awareness. Notice the freedom that exists in simply being, simply resting, simply allowing the natural unfolding to occur. And as you rest here, let the gentle softening of identity continue. Let old patterns fade naturally. Let new possibilities emerge quietly, subtly, and safely. You are free to drift, free to soften, free to allow the mind and body to integrate these shifts without effort. You do not need to control this process. You do not need to observe it. You do not need to force it. Simply rest, simply soften, simply allow. And in this receptive state, your identity expands naturally. Your mind integrates effortlessly, and the path of transformation continues quietly, subtly, beautifully, while you sleep. Now, as you continue to rest and drift, allow yourself to notice the natural rhythm of repetition in your life and in your mind. Every day, in small ways, your thoughts, your actions, your habits repeat. They shape your reality quietly, invisibly, subtly. And tonight, as you lie here, in this calm, receptive state, you are opening the mind to new, gentle repetitions that support the life you desire. Repetition is how the mind learns, not through effort, not through force, not through struggle, but through quiet, consistent, effortless exposure. Each pattern, each suggestion, each gentle idea has the opportunity to sink into the subconscious over time, quietly forming new pathways, new habits, new ways of being. And as you rest now, your mind absorbs these impressions naturally, without effort, without strain, without expectation. Notice how effortless this learning can be. You do not need to actively analyze, remember, or repeat consciously. The mind that listens while you sleep is intelligent, adaptive, and responsive. It knows what to retain, what to reinforce, and what to let go. Every word, every pause, every subtle suggestion is absorbed, integrated, and organized in perfect timing and sequence. Even if your conscious mind drifts, even if your awareness wanders, the deeper mind is always attentive. It recognizes the rhythms, the patterns, the gentle cues. It begins to form the neural impressions that support ease, confidence, clarity, abundance, and calm. You do not need to push, control, or force this process. It happens naturally, silently, perfectly. Imagine now that each repetition is like a soft wave washing over the shore of your mind. The waves arrive slowly, softly, quietly, shaping the landscape without abruptness. without violence, without resistance. They smooth the edges, fill the gaps, reshape gently, and with each passing wave, your mind becomes more aligned, more receptive, more capable of adopting new patterns that serve your highest good. You may notice that old habits, old loops, old automatic reactions begin to loosen. This is normal. They do not vanish immediately. They simply soften, fade, and make room for new ways of thinking, feeling, and being. And this change does not require effort. It is guided by the intelligent, attentive part of your mind that works quietly while the body rests. As you rest in this receptive state, notice the quiet power of subtle repetition, the repeated exposure to calm, to ease, to clarity, to gentle guidance allows your subconscious to begin expecting these qualities naturally. They become familiar. They begin to feel normal. And with familiarity comes effortless integration. No struggle is needed. No force is required. The mind absorbs effortlessly. Allow yourself to feel the spaciousness that repetition creates. Each night, each restful moment, each gentle impression reinforces the positive shifts within your mind and body. You are laying down the foundation for lasting, effortless transformation. And all of this occurs naturally, without conscious effort, without worry, without pressure. Notice how the body responds to these gentle repetitions. Muscles relax more easily. Breathing deepens. Heart rate slows. Even subtle tensions dissolve, as if the body recognizes the safety and rhythm of this process. Every part of you, mind and body alike, is learning, adapting, integrating, and aligning in its own perfect way. You are safe to receive these subtle lessons. You are safe to absorb these gentle rhythms. You are safe to allow change to occur gradually, quietly, effortlessly. There is no rush, no expectation, no timeline. Everything unfolds exactly as it should, perfectly timed to your needs. Imagine now that each repetition is planting seeds in the fertile soil of your mind. Each suggestion, each gentle cue, each pattern of calm, ease, and clarity is a seed. These seeds do not need to be watched, measured, or forced. They simply exist, quietly growing, gently unfolding, waiting for the right conditions to bloom. And as you rest, the conditions are perfect. Your body, your mind, your subconscious, all aligned in a state of calm, receptive, effortless attention. Even as sleep deepens, these seeds continue to grow. They form subtle neural pathways, gentle habits, new ways of perceiving, feeling, and being, all without effort, without strain, without force. The mind knows what to do. It knows how to absorb, integrate, and reinforce, and it does so perfectly, silently, effortlessly. Allow yourself to trust this process completely. Trust that the mind is always listening, always learning, always integrating what serves you most. Trust that the body knows how to rest, how to relax, how to support the mind's work. Trust that subtle repetition over time creates powerful, lasting, effortless change. feel the ease that comes from surrendering to this process. Notice how the mind softens, the body relaxes, and a quiet confidence grows within. You do not need to monitor, control, or force anything. Everything is unfolding naturally, guided by the intelligence of your deeper mind. And as you rest here, know that every gentle repetition, every soft suggestion, every moment of quiet receptivity is forming the foundation of a new way of being. You are safe. You are supported. You are already changing quietly, effortlessly, while you sleep. Allow this awareness to sink deep, permeating every cell, every thought, every breath. And as you drift, know that the power of repetition continues, silently, subtly, beautifully, guiding you toward alignment, ease, and effortless transformation. Now, as you rest even more deeply, allow yourself to notice the gentle opening of new possibilities, without effort, without expectation, without urgency. Your mind begins to sense the potential of what could be. These possibilities are not demands. They are not obligations. They are gentle invitations, soft currents flowing toward you, available for your subconscious to explore and integrate. Imagine a quiet, expansive space within you, a space where old limitations and habitual patterns have softened and loosened. In this space, the mind naturally turns toward new directions, new ways of thinking, new ways of being. There is no need to grasp these possibilities, no need to force them into form or measure them against reality. They simply exist, like stars appearing in the night sky, waiting to be noticed, appreciated, and absorbed. You are safe to allow these new directions to emerge. You are safe to entertain ideas, feelings, and impulses that were previously unfamiliar or blocked. You do not need to act on them consciously. You do not need to plan, decide, or figure anything out. The subconscious mind observes, integrates, and begins to guide the emergence of these new possibilities naturally, quietly, effortlessly. Notice the subtle ways your awareness shifts as you consider these possibilities. Perhaps a thought drifts in that feels lighter than usual. Perhaps a sensation arises in your body, a sense of ease, openness, or curiosity. Perhaps a memory surfaces that inspires a new perspective. All of these are signs that the mind is beginning to explore, gently, safely, without pressure, without force. The beauty of this process is that it requires no effort from you, no straining, no forcing, no analyzing, just rest, just presence, just allowing the deeper mind to operate in its own quiet, intelligent way. It is always aware of what serves you, what aligns with your well-being, and what creates space for growth. Imagine now that each gentle possibility is like a seed suspended in soft water. It floats, waiting for the right conditions to settle and take root. There is no rush. There is no timeline. There is only the quiet, receptive state you are creating, and the subconscious mind is preparing the fertile ground for these seeds to flourish. Even as you drift, notice the subtle confidence that begins to arise, It is not loud, not forceful, not urgent. It is quiet, steady, unshakable. A sense that things are aligning naturally, that the right directions are already forming, that the mind and body are working together to guide you toward what is best for you. You do not need to intervene. You do not need to control. You only need to allow. As your awareness settles into this calm, receptive state, you may notice old patterns attempting to reassert themselves. Perhaps a familiar worry drifts into your mind, or a habitual thought tries to reemerge. Acknowledge it gently and allow it to fade. It no longer holds the same weight. The mind is already opening to something new, something expansive, something aligned with your deepest sense of ease and well-being. Feel the subtle shift as your consciousness becomes more attuned to the flow of possibilities. It is as if a soft breeze has begun to stir, moving through the spaces of your mind where rigidity once resided. This breeze does not push, pull, or force. It simply moves gently, allowing old structures to relax and new directions to take shape naturally. You may notice a sense of clarity emerging in this process. Not a loud, analytical clarity, but a quiet, intuitive knowing, the kind of understanding that comes without effort, without planning, without trying to solve or fix. It is the clarity that allows your subconscious to guide you, to integrate, to align, and to prepare for change. Even if sleep has not yet fully arrived, the subconscious continues its work. It observes, it absorbs, it organizes. Every soft suggestion, every gentle image, every pattern of possibility is being integrated effortlessly. You do not need to monitor this process. You do not need to remember it. You only need to rest and allow. Imagine now that these new directions and possibilities are gently weaving themselves into the fabric of your being. They are not replacing anything. They are not imposing themselves. They are integrating naturally, like threads of light weaving through a tapestry, enhancing it, expanding it, enriching it, and you are perfectly situated to allow this integration to occur.